Now entering Nerdist.com.
Jackie Cation, Laurie Kilmartin. Jackie Cation, Laurie Kilmartin. It's the Jackie and Laurie Show. The Jackie and Laurie Show. It's the Jackie and Laurie Show. The Jackie and Laurie Show.
Wow. All right. Take two.
Take two. It was not. You didn't miss anything.
I thought they missed a nugget or two of gold.
Did they?
Yeah.
Well, you
that
guys,
you can't recapture.
You should totally follow us around or donate to the Smile Train. I was. I'm Jackie.
I'm Laurie.
And then here we are. And I just got back from doing just a couple of nights with Maria.
And you were in Cincinnati.
I was in Cincinnati and then Michigan. We did. We stayed in Detroit by the airport. And
That's
then we
so
worked in Royal
pretty.
Oak. And it was it was
How nice.
actually.
Why didn't you stay in? Isn't Royal Oak nice?
Royal Oak is really nice.
Why didn't you guys stay there?
Well, we didn't really plan it correctly.
Oh.
Cincinnati was much better planned. Mm-hmm. Royal Oak's gig was right. It was 3 blocks from the Comedy Castle.
Yeah.
And we shared stories with every Lyft driver. We had some of the funniest Lyft drivers. We had one guy where his windshield was cracked.
Yeah.
And wanted to talk about the nature of evil. And then
it's just a 3-block drive?
No.
Oh, no, it's 3 blocks from the
the Comedy Castle.
Okay.
But every Lyft driver, for some reason, it came up that we were comics. And usually that never comes up. You never tell anyone. And they were all like, "Oh, are you working at the Comedy Castle?" And we both had our stories about how we had done it once each and were never asked back.
What women have been asked back?
I don't know.
That's what I'm curious about.
I don't know the sheer numbers of women that Mark Ridley is booking, but it's probably, I think every week there's at least one woman, might be doing dishes, but there's at least some lady cracking jokes. And did you get the?
We were both exhausted already, and we're only in minute 3.
Right. It is if that.
It's 10:40 on Sunday, and
right.
And then I had a set at Flappers tonight, and thank God, I had like nothing planned this whole week, and then people filled things in. I was at the
that's great
Comedy and Magic Club on the weekend.
Oh,
on
did
Friday
you do a Saturday?
Friday and Saturday.
I just saw Kira Sultanovich. We did Boast Rattle tonight.
Yeah, she was there on the Saturday shows.
Yeah. And Boast Rattle is like Roast Battle, except for it's a compliment off.
Yeah.
Run by Kyle Ayers. And and it was really fun, except for that I don't know what I'm doing. I mean, literally, I'm just compliment. I know that Mike Lawrence is really good at this. That's all
you were up against Mike Lawrence?
No, I just constantly think of Mike Lawrence.
Oh.
I'm thinking of Mike Lawrence too much.
It's just writing good jokes, that's all.
He writes really good jokes. Yeah. And that's
all. It's so simple.
It's just simple, Jackie. Why don't you write a really good joke based on the fact that Kira Sultanovich is a really good hippie mom?
Yeah, that's the thing. They're never jokes you can use again unless you happen to be pitted against Kira in a Boast Rattle.
Exactly, which is the only, And
even then, you don't want to repeat your stuff.
No, because what if it's the same people? What about, and she mentioned that I had a funny joke about the Armenian genocide, and her one of the follow-up lines was like, and those are 2 things nobody likes. She was like,
Armenians and genocide.
Yes, and I was like, that's fine. You're Russian, and so we had a little bit of that.
That was your slam back.
Exactly. I said, but you're a Russian who believes in the rule of law, because it had to be a compliment.
Oh yes, right.
So we went back and forth. How was your set of Flappers?
Well, I was talking about Comedy and Magic before you derailed me with your Kira tales.
How was the Comedy and Magic Club?
It was fun.
Because did you do both rooms or just the
Friday was just the main room, and my son is on summer vacation now, and so I took him on Saturday night. I rented a hotel at Hermosa Beach.
Oh, nice!
And so we went down early. We went to the beach for like an hour, played in the waves, and then I did the 6 o'clock show with the you made a face when I said waves.
Right. Isn't his leg in a thing?
No, he's not in a cast anymore.
Okay, it's slightly better, or
Well, he can walk on it. I mean, it gives
needs to be
out and he
fixed?
falls on his face at least once a day.
well, there's
It's so fucking annoying.
who knew that he did physical comedy? Where did he get that?
Not me. But he had a good time in the water because you fall on your face in the water. You're falling in the water. Who
Yeah, you're in
cares?
the water.
And then we did a 6 o'clock at the lounge and an 8 o'clock at in the main room. And it was
you
fun.
did that was
Yeah.
Friday, both shows.
No,
That's
that
nice.
was Saturday.
Oh, that was Saturday. Oh, that's
Friday
right.
was
Friday.
one
You
show.
just showed up and
But the thing about Comedy Magic is I always feel like that's the final place to bring a set to see, what's wrong with it.
oh god,
Because I feel like the audience, they're like a TV audience.
right?
And
You were
so-
saying that you think that they're kind of the closest to a TV
Yeah,
audience
so
that you can get.
It's a great because I had a little couplet that was working in some maybe more alternative venues, and then it just kind of died or it didn't work enough at
It didn't
Comedy
hit hard
Magic.
enough?
Yeah, and I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, so this is it's there's a weakness there that doesn't show up in some rooms that shows up there that I have to
It's a
strengthen.
harsh sunlight coming down at you
It
at the
is.
Comedy and Magic.
It is, and it's frustrating, but it's good because I remember there's been other times where I was like, this shit is done, and then I do it at Comedy Magic, and I'm like, it's fucking not done, But it saved me
Yeah.
in the long run from
Right.
making a terrible mistake.
Right. It's not going to ever not work if you run it at the Comedy and Magic Club. Is the lesson learned there?
Yes.
Is you'll have a real sense of what the hell is you're doing.
Yeah.
And see if it'll work.
But then I had my hair done today. My hair light,
It looks great.
My roots. Thank you.
Yeah.
And so while she's shampooing
It's all
me,
straight. Yeah.
yeah, she straightened it.
Yeah.
She made it really straight. Yeah, they love to do that.
They
They
love
love to
to
blow
get-
it straight.
They love to get involved.
You know, I'm just going to take a curling iron to this for the next 3 months, right? And Friday ends. Because I like my curls at the end.
In the end. And then you want it to be curly. So what was it?
So then she's like, oh, I started watching some female comics on Netflix. And I'm like, oh, God, please, God, no.
Stop talking.
Like, I can't move. My head's
trapped.
being shampooed.
Right.
I'm like, oh, she starts listing everybody she's seen.
No.
Have you done one on Netflix? No,
No.
I haven't.
No.
And then, well, do you know other female comics on Netflix I can watch? Because I love it.
Do you love it?
I'm like, I can't. I said, well, Michelle Wolf is starting her half hour.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
she's doing her late night thing, so that'll be good. So I was able to utter that without crying.
Right.
And then
Without bursting into a rage tears.
And then she's like, and what about Letterman? Did you see the Letterman Tina Fey thing? And then I was like, I go, can I be honest? I go, I don't want to talk about comedy. I'd rather talk about the missing migrant children.
Oh my God.
And she goes, oh, I'm glad you told me because I would hate for you to just be sitting here going, when's she going to shut up? When's she going to shut up? Because that's exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah,
I
that's
was
exactly
like,
what you were thinking.
I was, even then, it was the rest of the appointment was weird because I was just like, now I sound like an asshole. But I just,
Right.
I can't hear about
Right.
other people's careers all the time.
It's a lot.
It is a lot.
It is a lot.
I want to be genuinely happy for people. I don't
Yep.
want to sit, but I always feel like, oh, I've forgotten. They're done with me. No one's
Right.
asked me to do a Netflix anything. Not the 10-minute specials, not the fucking hours.
Right.
Nothing.
Right. Maybe just. I don't know who to talk to. Either.
I don't know either. Everyone else knows apparently.
Right. There may be somebody.
She's writing down a name.
Who's going to start working over there? Do you know her?
Oh, cool.
Yeah, she's looking into, and it would be great if she knew, if she was there because she really likes, women comics. So
Yes,
she really
that's
You know what
good.
else she does? She likes sort of weirdo comics. She likes
Yeah.
interesting, comics. So that'd be great. But I know, I got several comments about asking me if you could do some work, and I was like, I'll just pass it on.
No.
And I was like, you know what I need to be is the hub for both you and Bamford. Is there anybody you want to know if Rontowski's available this weekend, or maybe
I actually take Rontowski's avails. and blast them.
Send Rontowski's a veil set.
I do a Rontowski blast once a week.
Right. Well, she's willing to murder for you. If you need someone to really destroy a room, you're doing great. So,
but it's just it's like hard to like. Oh, it's a renaissance with female comics.
You want to be
not all of
supportive.
us,
and I want to be supportive, and I think we are to the most part.
Yes,
but it's also exhausting.
It feels like we were born in the wrong era. You know,
except for
I can't change when I was born.
Can't change it, and we've been doing and still are doing good legwork to lay the framework for other comics. So
that's I want to be the board you walk on. That's all I want for my career, please.
Yes, maybe not an ideal workout, but there's steady work. We're doing fine. My biggest problem right now is I did 2 sets. I did the Michigan set and then I did the Cincinnati set, and both sets were fine. Everybody had a lovely time. I'm sure.
Sold out crowds, sold out rooms.
I think the Royal Oak one was sold out, but I don't think Cincinnati was.
Okay,
but I liked. For me, I don't care. I care, but I don't care what the audience thought. I think they were fine. They enjoyed both shows.
Yeah.
But I liked the Royal Oak set better because Marie and I, before we went up, she was like, we decided to do stuff that had never been recorded.
Yeah.
Yeah, just to work on, because I need to figure out this chunk, and she needs to figure out a new hour. And
God damn, why is she going to tape a new special soon?
Well, if I think if she can get it together,
so she's just waiting till she has an hour. It's not like you're going to tape something in November.
Yeah, I don't think she's got the deal, but I know that if she can get the hour together, they might be interested. So, and because she's got an in with Netflix, even though they didn't pick up a 3rd season, but they love her, so it should be fine.
Yeah.
So, on that Friday night show, we both did brand new, the new stuff that wasn't recorded, and I did 27. I'm supposed to do 25. I went 2 over, but and I know that because I recorded.
What if Maria docked you for every minute you went over?
Exactly. That's it. There's 1150 you're never seeing. She'd be more likely to go, no, I didn't have to do it. Here's an extra 1150.
Wait, you charge $11.50 a minute?
That's what I like to do. That's
an interesting way to.
It's
to
a weird
book yourself.
algorithm that I've made up right on the moment without having any access to actual calculators at this point. But so. That was Friday, and so I felt really good about that. And then Saturday night, for some reason, I went to the vault on an early joke, and I closed on the tantric sex joke, and everybody had a good time, except for I was mad, because I wanted to close on the Sex of the Magi joke.
Yeah.
Oh, I watched this very old set today that Felicia Michaels posted.
Yeah.
And
of you?
Of this lady, who was on Ed Sullivan.
Oh.
Yeah.
Who was
it?
Is her name Jean something?
Maybe. She was amazing.
Yeah.
And
I think I know who you're talking about. She's like, is she blonde?
Yeah, she's blonde with short hair.
Yes, I think that's her name's Jean. She's like one of the early female stand-ups.
Yeah, like 1955 or something. And she was, it was early. It was that early stand-up. So if you watch anybody's set from 1955, you're going, oh, I see what you're playing on. And so there was some of that.
Yeah.
But there was also, she was peppering it with these little sort of asides and one-liners and over and unders. And she did almost 7 minutes.
Wow.
And so it was cumulatively, the peppered jokes fucking destroyed me. I was like, oh my God, I love who
I remember
who
really
the hell
liking
are you?
that set. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, anyway, I forgot what I was talking about, but it was.
Well, you saw an old set.
I saw an old set, and
Royal Oak. You weren't happy.
Oak. I was happy with Michigan. And Cincinnati was happy enough, but I wasn't happy that I had done I wanted to end on. Oh, that's why I brought it up. Hi, is that she ended on a dick joke. She ended on sort of the 1955 version of a sex joke. Yeah, and it was married sex. It was her talking about her wedding night. Yeah, and it was. I was like, as she started talking about it, I was like, this is her closer. She's about to do what passes in 1955 on TV as a dick joke. And it was a joke about how she put on her negligee, and she had these mules. She was wearing mules and a negligee.
Sure.
And she had brushed her hair out, and she went in, and they had separate rooms. And she went into his room, and how handsome and virile he looked in his smoking jacket, and his slippers. And the punchline was something like she had to wake him up, and then she was like, "And I'm done," and then she bailed.
my
But it was
God.
like it was all innuendo, but it was hilarious.
Yeah, because they weren't allowed. Ricky and Lucy weren't allowed to sleep in the same bed as a married couple
Right.
on TV. I wonder if that's how she did it in clubs, and they made her change.
Oh, right,
Change it
because-
for TV. I mean, if she did it differently in a club. And what clubs was she working at that time?
Right. What would it have been? Would it have been the Playboy Club?
I don't know. Like
Was
the
that
Hungry
happening?
Eye in San Francisco. Was that even a comedy venue at that point in the 50s?
Not the 50s. I think that
Wow, where'd
like
she
the
work
first.
out?
Where the hell was she working?
The club,
And who's
the
booking
clubhouse.
it?
She was doing 4 p.m. shows at the clubhouse in LA.
Yeah, I've been thinking about doing some afternoon shows at the clubhouse just to try to get the hour. You know,
a
like
good
working
idea.
in 20-minute chunks.
Yeah.
is hard. And the flirting bit now has an addition of a story about my dad in it.
Mm-hmm.
So the damn thing has feature creep, and so the
has
thing,
what?
It's creeping.
It's
like I keep
getting
adding
larger
things.
and-
It's getting larger and
yeah,
larger,
wilder.
and so yeah, it's just too big and it's unwieldy. Though I did it in its entirety, 21 minutes, and then I
Wait,
did
one piece is 21 minutes?
yeah, it isn't one piece. It needs to be chopped up into 4.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but it's
Jesus.
or more. But because you know when you like I probably have what I think is new 40 minutes
Yeah.
since the last album came out.
Right.
And which means I probably have a new 28 minutes.
Right, yeah.
Because
Yeah.
there's 12 minutes of chaff.
Yes.
And so it just needs to be needs to be pounded to death.
12 minutes of chaff would be a nice album title.
Nice album cover. Do you like that with just the waves of grain on the cover?
Well, and here's the thing: if you name your album that, your audience gets to pick what was the chaff. Like it may be different from what you think the chaff is.
Yeah, no, I don't want that. I don't need that kind of feedback. I think somebody gave that. Marie got an email last week from some banana head who was like, "You said and too much," and she's like, "Do you know how many meds I'm on?" And the fact that I have coherent jokes. And she was like, I felt bad. And I was like, stop feeling bad. Because one goof bag is...
Men don't like it when women do that. I mean, I get that critique all the time. My dad used to say I said not too much, and that's how people think, and sometimes you're just your brain is thinking of a thought you need to stretch. You know, you're giving yourself
a beat.
You're giving yourself the stretch signal. You're going to Obama does it all the time, and he's like the smartest guy in the world. Mm-hmm. Well, not smart enough to stop the Russians from meddling in the election, but other than that,
well, I don't know how. It's the whole one person thing. I'm like, I literally want to put hands on somebody and find these children. I was like, who can I shake to find these kids?
Oh, the migrant kids.
Yeah.
Yes.
I was like, isn't there like there's a protest scheduled for June
I know.
4th.
I'm going to be on a plane with my kid.
Okay, and I'm willing to go to it, but there's a better protest that Jane Wilson is hooking up.
Oh, I thought that's what you're
in
talking
Victorville.
about. In Victorville. Yeah.
Yeah, because Victorville is where the immigration center is.
Wow.
The one that is in MacArthur Park is earlier.
Yeah.
And you're like, that's fine. Do please go to that to any protest.
Yeah.
And show them just bring your feet and your body to scream at some people.
Yeah.
And show up. But the Victorville one seemed important because it was at the place.
Yeah, definitely.
So
I was trying to figure out if we could do a podcast on next Sunday, and I'm like, when do I get back from Boston?
Oh, that's right. You're going to Boston.
Right. And I'll be at Laugh Boston this weekend, people, Thursday through Saturday. And I was looking for my plane ticket, and I couldn't find my plane ticket. I was searching JetBlue, and I was searching Expedia,
Right.
and I'm like, oh, fuck, I didn't get a return.
Oh, no.
No. So I just bought a return ticket today, and I'm bringing my kid with me on this weekend because I want to take him to historical places in Boston.
Right.
During the day.
Show him a thing.
So I got like... It was shockingly less expensive than I thought it was going to be with a week's notice. I guess no one's flying back to LA from Boston that weekend, but
right.
Yeah, so we'll be getting into LAX around 2:30. But
Yeah, so we'll record because I'm going to Yellowstone. Well, I'm doing Clusterfest
in San
on
Francisco?
Friday on San Francisco, and then I'm coming back on Saturday, and then I fly away on Monday. I think it is,
so
to Yellowstone
on
Monday or Tuesday.
We're gonna he and I, my son and I, are gonna fly out on. We're gonna fly out on Wednesday, and then I'll pay for the hotel room on Wednesday night, and then I'll have all day Thursday to do. I think the Freedom Trail.
Yeah, you can do the Freedom Trail, but there's also a copy of the Declaration of Independence.
Where?
Independence Hall. You got to go to Independence Hall.
For sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
That's the big one, right? Or is that in Philly? Is that in Philly? It's in Philly.
It seems like it's in Philly, right?
It's in Philly. It's going to be in Philadelphia. It's
well, we're not going to see it there. Then. We're not going to see it. Then.
Don't go to Philly while you're in Boston. What you should do is stay in Boston and maybe go on the Freedom Trail.
Well, we're going to do that for sure, and then we'll go see colleges he'll never get into, like Harvard and MIT, and I don't know. We'll find some other stuff to do.
Right. Don't get sucked into the National Lampoon thing. It's an Illuminati thing where they trap you in a basement and put a mask on.
My boss wrote for the National Lampoon, so I can't comment on your wild theory.
My wild theory that he was hazed in a way that that enabled him to then get a job to write on the National Lampoon or the Lampoon. Anyway, so
Corey Kahaney did Conan last week.
Oh yeah,
yeah, on Thursday.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry I missed that.
I think she got it at the very last minute too, and then she popped up on an email that they send the whatever who's going to be a guest on the show. I'm like, oh my god, it was cool to see her. She was out here running her set, and then did a really good job.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah,
that is awesome.
I've known her since like 2000.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she was she has a joke about it, but she had her first kid when she was 22 and her second kid when she was 42.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. So she started stand up as a single mom, and then had a baby during it.
Holy smokes!
Yeah.
So, I was hanging out with a comic. Mm-hmm. And he brings openers sometimes on the road. Mm-hmm. So he wanted to pick my brain about what Maria Bamford pays me. And
who was it? Because I know he's not as generous as she is.
He
can't afford it.
He can't afford it.
Oh, okay.
But he can't afford to be more generous than he is.
Is that what you told him?
Yes.
Yes.
And it was because he get this. You know who he used to open for?
Who? Oh, okay. Yeah.
And he was also not generous.
Interesting.
And that guy can afford to give all the money in the world.
Okay.
This guy, the first guy that I was in the car with, no air, hotel, and $250 a show.
What?
Feel free to come to Indiana.
Wait, how many shows in Indiana?
What
is it, like 5 shows or something? Or
no, maybe. Don't know. He said sometimes they're one-offs.
Wow.
And he goes, I mean, it's just kind of like you build your. He said that's what.
Interesting.
That's what he was paid by the famous guy.
Huh.
And then and I said, oh, you have to find some more money.
It's not enough.
You can sell merch. You can sell merch, but it's and that's fine. And if you want to go, you can go. But eventually, you have to take the responsibility of the thing that I would love on the road.
Yeah.
If I brought somebody.
Right.
Which I haven't been able to afford to do, and nobody's ever allowed me to do.
Right.
Really.
Same.
And, but I would want to pay them fair because if I could be with somebody that I wanted to hang out with for 3 or 4 days on a full weekend kind of run, that's a delight. It's less lonely.
Yeah, I feel the same way. If I could be with someone who wouldn't talk to me the entire weekend,
well, yeah,
I would
someone
pay
you
them
could tell
more
them
than
to fuck
fairly.
off.
Yes. No, I don't even make me tell you to fuck off. Just know. Please don't disturb me because I might be in the bath. Okay.
Right. Well,
that's all I want from a road gig.
Maria
is a
and I
bath.
will hang out once a day.
Right.
And that's it. Mm-hmm. It's not like we're living in each other's pockets.
Yeah.
It's did you want to get lunch and run some jokes, and then I'll see you at the show.
Right.
And or we won't even do that, and then we'll have dinner and run jokes and do the show, and that's the end of it. But it's like a sanity touchstone to have a friend, someone that you like enough.
Yeah, that's true. Yes, yes.
And it's not that working with new features isn't fun, because sometimes it is, but sometimes it isn't. Sometimes it's just boring.
Yeah, and sometimes you're just tired,
right?
And you don't want to always be working. I mean, in terms of like getting to know people, sometimes it's work,
Yeah.
and sometimes you just want to show up and tell jokes,
right? And then the other thing that Maria does, like she'll want to run an hour, and so she will pay someone to listen to her for an hour.
Did you tell me this on the podcast or off? You told me off, right?
Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know, but she found out that this guy listens and this guy doesn't pay him.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
He doesn't pay him?
He doesn't pay him anything.
But Maria pays that guy?
No, Maria
That guy
will
takes
pay
her money?
Well, no, Maria pays like she would pay me, like if I was willing to sit there for an hour.
Yeah.
But I'm like,
do you give notes?
No, not really.
So you just sit on the phone and listen?
Yeah, you can sit on the phone and listen, and then you can laugh, or you can say, you can give like sort of directional kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like what? Like like when you do a new joke and somebody says, well, what did you, how did your son feel about that? Would be someone to say, and you're like, well, it's completely fictional, so he doesn't have any feelings, and but you could make up fictional feelings, and you might, and it might send you in a good direction. So that's kind of the only sort of note I ever give Maria. I'm just like, whatever story she's telling me, whatever bit she's working on, it'll be the impression I get of it, and then I'll laugh at. I think the reason she doesn't pay me or do it is because I've heard the joke so many times.
Yeah.
That literally I only laugh at the new parts of the jokes, and she needs a more realistic kind of organic. So she has sort of a short list of people that she'll.
Interesting.
And she doesn't do it that much.
I've never done that before.
Well, I didn't know anybody else did it.
I'd never heard of that before.
But
that's,
and
I mean, I can see like
it's not helping him write.
It's just
it's just being a sounding board, I think.
Yeah, is it count as a spot if you're on the phone with somebody? in your daily calendar where you write down your spots?
I love the fact that you want to count it. I need to count that as a spot.
Well,
That's
does
a spot.
it or does it not? That's what I'm asking.
It does. It counts as a spot.
Does it?
Yeah, I think so.
Because you're not in front of an audience.
Right, but if Maria has these specials on Netflix. I don't know if you've ever watched those.
Yes, I know.
It's but there's no reason. But to talk about, because you were talking about the hairdresser.
Yeah,
But
I know.
but in the special, she will perform one of them just for her parents.
Yes.
And the other one, she's performing for one guy on a bench, and then 4 people in her thing. Like it gets bigger, right?
Yeah.
And she used to do this thing a couple of years ago where she needed to run the sets, and because I would listen, I was like, you can run an hour at me if you need to, and she was like, well. Why don't we do 20-minute chunks at each other? And so we did that a couple of times. And I think it's not as effective as her getting to do the whole hour.
That feels too personal.
Oh, it's super personal.
I don't think I could do it.
She went out to coffee with strangers. She would say on Twitter, hey, anybody want to listen to my hour? I'll buy coffee. And then she would meet strangers at coffee shops and talk to them for an hour. And they would be psyched.
That seems less personal,
Does it?
because you don't know them and you'll never see them again. But to be on the phone with someone you know and just kind of, I would have a hard time doing it. And I didn't know that existed until you told me. Like,
yeah, I don't want to do it
a few weeks ago.
But I think it's pretty effective for her.
It must be because she's very prolific, and so is the guy whose name you wrote
everybody.
down.
All the names I've written down, by the way, are decent human beings, and
But some of them are cheap bucks.
a little bit, and some of them don't understand that they have more money, and they might want to share it.
I do think comics have this fear of never getting booked again and never having money again.
Yes.
And but it seems like some people have passed that threshold where if you never had another booking again, you'd be okay.
Right.
But they don't know it. Maybe I don't.
Right. I wonder if Seinfeld's like that.
I hope he knows he's okay.
I hope he does, because I think residuals alone, that guy's good.
Yeah.
That guy's not going to have to worry about. Yep.
Oh my God, I'm so tired, Jackie.
I think we're at 30. 29, 33.
She said optimistically, only to be shot down.
Shot down for 27 seconds of me pandering around, meander. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do the comic of the week.
Okay.
It's Emma Arnold.
Yay.
Who is lives in Utah and was in LA this week doing sets, doing podcasts. Her Twitter feed is I am a road trip, which is hilarious. And it's EmmaArnoldComedy.com. And I just, on Emma Arnold Comedy, she did an HD, she shot her own special kind of thing. She shot an hour.
Where?
In Utah.
Oh, okay.
In Boise, Idaho. Oh, I'm sorry.
Boise
She's not
isn't
from
in-
Utah.
Yeah.
She's from Idaho.
Okay.
And Philadelphia is in Boston.
Oh my God.
So good for me for not my
What's
geography.
happening to you?
Well, any number of things. Seriously, every cell in my body wants to see the world in a different fucking direction. So, but the Emma Arnold, so she was on the Dork Forest, and her dorkdom was bees. I haven't had a bee dork on in 6 years, and so I learned a lot about bees again. Because everything I learn, I lose. It goes away.
Yeah.
And I retain like 4 pieces of
I'm
information.
like that with books.
Yeah?
I'm like, why the fuck am I reading this thing? I get pleasure while I'm reading it, but I know I'm going to forget it in about a year. Most points, maybe the
Right.
main beats I'll remember.
You'll remember that thing about the Irish.
Sebastian Barry, I can't forget his books.
Yeah.
Oh, so good.
So good.
Have you read any Philip Roth?
I read Portnoy's Complaint, and it wasn't for me.
But it changed people's lives, Jackie.
Yes, it changed. I had an exchange because I took a class on comedy in college. Well, there was an error, except for I got
comedy of errors?
I passed because I did stand up for my final, and because
Cool.
yeah, and the guy said you could either write you can write a paper or you can do a set, and I said, oh my God, I need a set because the club had burned down like 5 months earlier.
You need a spot.
And I was only doing like 1 or 2 open mics a week.
Right? You didn't have Maria's phone number just yet to call her?
No, it was 1985. You
No one had
guys.
phones back then.
No one had phones. It was back when we all was just tin cans and a string. And so it was Portnoy's Complaint, H.L. Mencken, and Woody Allen's Feathers or whatever.
Okay.
And so there was Woody Allen, a couple of Woody Allen books, a couple of H.L. Mencken, and the Portnoy's Complaint was the only one. And I think some short stuff by Philip Roth. And I hated all of it. And I didn't tell anyone
to read
ever.
some. Yeah.
Because it was like...
Because everyone worships him.
Because everyone worships him so bad.
Yeah.
And I was like... I posted the thing on
Kyle's
Facebook.
crying right now. He can't believe what he's hearing.
You're a fan? Well, the thing is he was genuinely writing for you. He was writing to young men, and you are a man, and you are aging, like all of us.
Plot Against America instead of Portnoy's. Portnoy's
Yeah.
probably the least accessible of his books.
Okay.
It's the grossest and the goofiest.
Yeah, I just the one scene that sticks out in my mind in Portnoy's Complaint is the jerking off on the bus. Yeah, and you're just
Well, I am interested in hearing from a man's perspective. I don't hear that enough. It sounds like it's a book for me.
That's what happened on Facebook. Some guy, I said, I took this class. It wasn't for me, but if you love all of these guys, that's great. And this guy posted on my Facebook page, he said, well, now you know how men feel when they have to listen to Lena Dunham, Sarah Silverman, and Amy Schumer. And I said,
What the fuck?
and I
Have
said,
to listen
hey, man,
to.
I'm familiar with how men feel whenever they're forced to listen, watch,
God.
or even be somehow next to a woman's perspective on anything. But perhaps now you know how women might have felt for the last 11,000
the
years.
time. Yeah. Yeah, and we're generous.
And that guy, by the
we
way-
pivot and hear your complaints about your semen, so you can fucking pivot and hear about our blood.
He bowed out of that conversation pretty quick. That
Was he a
dude.
comic?
I don't know who the hell he was. So I've clicked OK too many times on Facebook to know who the hell
Right.
I'm talking to. Anyway, so but it was to finish on Emma Arnold though.
Yeah.
EmmaArnoldComedy.com. It's free. It's just 420. She broke it up into 420-minute chunks.
Oh,
And
it's
I
on
think
YouTube?
yeah. Well, Vimeo or YouTube or something, but it's on her
She get
website.
any money from it? Any
I don't know.
advertising?
I don't know. There's no advertising on it, but
how are we supposed to fucking make a living?
I know,
How are
I know.
people doing this?
well, she has 6
Jesus.
kids.
What?
Emma Arnold she has 3 that she had, and then she married a guy
And she
with.
stole 3.
And she stole 3.
That's crazy.
She does a joke about how she likes the other 3 better because they didn't destroy her body. And it was but it's pretty great. It was. I thought her stand up was.
Do you know this guy? I am reading a book he recommended. He's
Yeah,
you know him, right?
I think so. Yeah.
He's having health problems. You
Right.
know, that it's like a chronic disease that's getting worse and worse. So
Yeah.
he's having a tough time. But I don't.
Is he from there?
No, he's not.
Okay.
But I don't want to say his name because I wasn't. He talks about it on Facebook, but I wasn't
Yeah.
sure if it's public. You know how many people
Yeah.
he's talking to. So
He recommended the book.
It's called The Violet Hour, and
Okay.
it's Katie Roiff, who
How do you spell Roiff?
Roiphe.
Okay.
She also wrote the Harper's article that outed the woman who wrote the shitty men, kept the shitty men. She's a little controversial, but and I just started it. She examines how like 5 or 6 people handled dying. You know,
Oh,
like,
wow.
and I just finished the Susan Sontag
Oh wow.
chapter, and it's really good. Have you read Susan Sontag? I don't think I have, but I feel like I should. I'm like, oh, she has a comics sort of spirit,
Right.
Of I'm better than everybody else. I'm like, lady, you are on the wrong side of writing. You should have been on stage. But
That's awesome.
yeah, I have to read her. But I'm reading this thing. It's really good, and now I've just started this. She breaks. If Sigmund Freud is next, that's what I'm reading.
Okay.
But because I think he's experiencing these health problems, he's sort of this
Looking at
comic
his own
is like
mortality and
yes, whatever.
Sure. It's it's a brave new world of you.
Getting old.
Yeah, I don't read a lot of nonfiction. I bought when I was in Galway. I
Yeah.
bought 2 nonfiction books. That was in July.
Yeah.
And the first one I'm reading, I'm still reading it. It is. I bought it because it was. I mean, first of all, God bless a bookstore that could inspire me to buy nonfiction.
Mm-hmm.
That is some well done display work.
Right.
And this one was written in like 2008, and it's about the history of how people learn.
Oh.
And it was essentially, so each chapter is like the library system, how the
Okay.
libraries were invented, the monastery system, the university system. The one the chapter I'm in is about how during the 100-Year War and the sort of the Renaissance, when there was so much war and the printing press was invented, there was a resurgence of letter writing.
Yeah.
And it was called the Republic of Letters, and it was like all different people all over the world, and the museum was invented at this time too, where people were like, I'm going to gather things that don't make any sense together and put them in a curio shelf, and then you're going to get to see what an elephant tusk and a Chinese scroll and a weird flower from Greece look like,
Yeah.
or whatever. And so it's a fascinating book, but it isn't hard to read and it isn't dense, but every page and a half blows my mind. So I literally put it down
Yeah.
and think about it for like 2 weeks. And I bought that book. Mm-hmm. And I also bought, I don't know how the hell this bookstore in Galway tricked me into it, but it's a history of Christianity and Islam.
Oh no. Really?
700 pages.
Oh my God.
I don't know when I'm.
How can you? Here's the thing: you're laying down and you're holding a book over your face, and it's 700 pages.
Yeah.
How do you do that? Your arms get tired.
That's okay. The blood goes to my elbows, and then I roll over, and then I read it on my stomach, and then I roll back over, and I read it on my back.
That's how I pick books now. I'm like, can I hold this with one hand? Because if I'm reading, I don't have my contacts in,
Right.
So I have to hold the book right in front of my eyes because my eyes are so bad.
Oh, okay.
So I've got a lot of extra things to think about. By the way, I'm fucking tired of everyone in my house falling apart but me.
Right. Your health, for some reason, you're holding on.
If something were to happen to me, everything would just unravel completely.
Exactly.
I got the 11-year-old, face palming on the ground once a day.
Yeah.
And then when we were at the beach today, I guess he got dunked pretty hard by a wave. Now his back hurts.
Oh my
so
gosh.
he's limping and hunched over while I'm dragging him to flappers so I can do a spot. And then my mom cut her thumb open,
Is she here? Is she back?
She's here. Oh,
Okay.
she's back. And,
So she cut her thumb.
Yeah.
Just making dinner.
who knows? She's probably slicing her baby carrots while
Right.
she's drunk. I'm just like every time I just lay down, I would hear, "God damn it!" either from her or from my son, going, "Mom, could I just fucking have an hour to myself?"
Right, so that you could limp.
I can't.
Or you could be stiff or something. Or
Yeah,
some sort
or
of
so that my
trouble.
hairdresser could make my body hurt by bringing up everyone else's success but mine.
Oh my God. I want so much. I want so much right now. I genuinely want. I want my jokes to be tighter.
Yes.
I want my body to be. I want to stop eating everything in front of me. And I want, I don't know, to exercise. But I'm not doing any of it. I'm not, like, Marie was like, "Are you, I have to go write a set list." And I said, "Yeah, a lot of people write that. A lot of people write a set list." And I like both shows, I wrote one set list. Oh, I wrote it for Michigan. Guess what set I liked better? The Michigan set. And then I
You
didn't
sound
write
like
one.
you're pouting. Like part
Oh
of
my
you's
God.
like, I don't want to do any of this stuff, and I'm
Yes.
not going to.
I'm taking up some
Like,
light whimpering.
There's a war inside Jackie.
There is. The world is at there's definitely a 100-year war going on inside of my body. It's the War of the Roses. I can't. And now I'm sort of half on your couch, just sort of laying back.
Now here we go. This is a perfect reading position.
Is it?
It's a
Is it
light
the
book. Yes.
And here's so I had a small meltdown
At yourself?
at my 11:20 in Cincinnati. I
Yeah.
decided to text Brian Regan.
Yeah. Why?
First of
Now,
all-
why did that happen? Why did you think that?
A month ago, I thought I said something mean to Brian Regan.
Oh, you've been ruminating about it for a month.
I thought I'd ruminate about it for a month and then text him at 11:30 at night Eastern time. God
Right.
knows where he is.
Right.
And I was like, "Hey," and people have done this to me too because comics are nuts.
Yeah.
And it's not just comics; people are nuts.
Right.
But everybody gets sort of like, "Did I say a thing that was
Right.
weird?" And so I was like, "You're not really going to send that kind of email to Brian Regan." And yes, I was. But I did say, if I was weird, I'd like to apologize. And if you have no idea what I'm talking about, if you could just type me a quick, there. I will know that I'm fine. And
He's a dad. He's done that
He's
before.
a dad. He knows. And he wrote me back the nicest text. He's like, "Oh my God, you're fine." And it was essentially that. And I was like, you remain the sanest person in stand-up comedy. He genuinely might be the sanest guy in stand-up that I've ever met.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's up
got
there
his shit
anyway.
together.
Yeah.
It makes you think, why can't everyone have their shit together?
Right. I mean,
Okay, everyone starts in different places, right? They start
Right.
at different levels of fucked upness, but at some point you get your voice on stage, you start living in the world, right?
right?
So why do some people stay in a place of chaos and other people figure out how
they
to
love chaos. Because
Yeah.
whenever you think about someone doing something that's bad for them, you have to. The next question is what are they getting out of it? Right? It's like when
besides 10 new minutes of material?
well, if that's all they're getting out of it, that's all they're.
This reminds me. We'll go back to this, but
Yeah.
I did the Drunkalog show.
Oh,
you
yeah?
know, and
right, where you had to get drunk.
no, you don't have to get drunk.
Oh, Drunkalog, where you're supposed to talk about being drunk.
Yes,
yeah.
which of course I've been drunk once, but then I
What a
you know
waste.
I started thinking, okay, yeah, sorry, Jackie.
It's you're not doing it right.
I mean, all of that energy that you and other people put into alcoholism,
Yeah.
I put into food, right?
Okay.
But they're such horribly boring and lonely stories, like binging. That's not a story you tell on stage of food you ate.
Oh, I think.
But here's the
anyway.
thing. So I started talking about that, and then I'm like, I bet Jim Gaffigan has already done this bit. How can you talk about food without watching all of Jim Gaffigan's specials just
To
to
make
double
sure it
check?
hasn't
Because
been
that
covered?
guy fucking covers his bases. He's very thorough on the
Oh,
topic.
he's enormously. I followed him one week in New York.
Yeah.
He did 3 different 7 to 12 minute sets on 3 different food chunks, and the third set, I said, "Are you still talking about? Are you? Is this a third food?"
Hey,
and he goes,
I get it, man.
It's all I. He said, "It's all I think about. It's all I want to joke about. It's all I want to
It's
talk
all
about."
that's really important, Jackie, if you think
It's
about
all
it.
super important. I do love that McDonald's bit of his. So it's
No, it's great. It's
yeah.
great. But also he has so dominated a topic that I don't even think I have an into food, which is a basic. It's a huge major human need, and I don't
You
know
could
that I
make
have
it-
an original into it.
I think you can if you make it personal.
I know, but I feel like my personal obsession with it is probably very similar to his, and I doubt that I've come up with a completely different way to hit it.
It'll matter to that starfish. You really need to. I don't know. But you should seriously you should do something about it.
Well, anyway, so as a drunkalog, and so I just realized that, man, if you drink, you have great stories because you do fucked up shit when you're drunk.
Right. First thing to go, your judgment.
And when you're full from binging, you
Yeah.
don't do anything.
And you just lie there.
Yeah, you lay
Hoping.
there. Sometimes you throw it up. Those are 2 horrible stories. No one wants
Those
to
are
hear
the
those
answers.
stories.
Those are the end games on those. You either lie there or you throw up and start over like a Roman. And so yeah, I don't yeah, I know people who would go and just take drugs to get the news story.
That drives me nuts.
It's
not
maddening.
organic.
No,
Yes.
it doesn't make any sense.
And that means you're
It's
bored with how you
self-destructive.
live.
Yes.
And anything you
Why
do
would that
could
be
be a
interesting to
chunk.
anyone else?
Yes.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's also like everything is interesting. You know, if any novel you read, a great novelist will find something out of a ladybug's wings, you know? So you don't have to do something.
This is an unusual comment to have come in from Kilmartin.
But you don't
here.
have to get dramatic about stuff.
No,
you know,
and you don't have to artificially create a situation. I mean,
Right, exactly.
I mean, I guess if you have to create content out of constantly. Mm-hmm. You either need writers who have lives, or you might need to go buy a new album. And
do you
then
mean?
like if you're like, I don't have anything to talk about. People are talking about that new Cardi B album or whatever her name is.
Oh, right.
I'm going to go buy that album and maybe I'll get something out of that. Plus, I also want that album. So, I mean, as long as you also want that album.
You've really encapsulated the desire for music right there.
When I start talking about music, people listen. First of all, because I know I'm going to make an error. That's why they're usually listening. But, yeah, it's dumb. But I want, like, you ever have so many topics you want to talk about that they're too big, and I'm at that point with several chunks where they're unwieldy, and
Right.
The only way to really work on them would be to have like 3 weeks of 7-show weeks.
You should go to Edinburgh.
Oh God.
But you
Yeah.
you want it to be
But
ready
then I'd
when
be
you're at
right,
Edinburgh. You
exactly. I don't want to get reviewed while I work on my hour.
Right. Come on the last night, reviewers.
Yeah, they never
Yeah.
do. So,
Have you done Edinburgh before?
No, I've looked into it, but it always costs $5,000.
No.
And I don't want to.
I did it for
Did you?
Yeah, I split a month with Doug Stanhope and James Inman, and Brian Hennigan put it together. So we each did
What? Why have I never
did
heard?
like 10 days. This was in 2005, I think.
What?
It was really fun.
Stanhope and Inman and you?
But we
in the
never saw
same-
each
oh,
other.
you never saw each other.
Yeah,
because you were in the same
we
venue.
each took a third of the month. Yeah, and
Did you have to stay in a room where either of those two gentlemen lived?
I think we all stayed in the same room, right, back to back.
Were you first?
But I was first.
Oh, you
I
were
believe
first.
I was
Oh,
first.
thank God.
Yeah, there are no stains.
Ah.
But it was really fun, and I even though I think
So you
doing
did 10 days.
an hour every single night
Yeah.
for 30 days would be pretty brutal, but
Right.
great in a way.
Right, because
Yeah.
but what I understand from those British comics and that do it, or anybody who goes there, obviously, is that they workshop that hour for the year.
Yeah,
Well,
it's a weird way to work because
and
then
then
they
they
have to
ro-
dump the hour.
Then they have to dump
do-
the hour and then do a new one. Yeah.
I don't know how people are coming up with new hours. Maybe I'm just living a different life right now. You
Yeah.
know, maybe if I
If you were working those 7 show weeks and you were doing an hour, you'd be writing a lot more longer stuff, I think.
Yeah, I'm thinking in terms of late night sets only.
Right.
You know,
You think 5 to 10 minutes.
5
That's
to
what-
6.
5 to 6 minutes, even more specific.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you write jokes and then you take a scalpel and rearrange determiners and pronouns and you're like, what about this word?
matters.
It does matter for you. I was talking to Maria about how I look at the way Maria does, because that's where I'm at. I was watching how Maria prepares,
Right.
and what am I? I got a nose problem. I'm the police. It's none of my business.
What do you mean? What are you
I did nosy Magoo. Like, I was thinking about how you prepare your sets, how she prepares her sets, how Foley prepares her stuff, and I did Joke Machine with Carmen Morales.
Oh, I just saw her tonight at Flappers.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Nice. You could see her set, or?
No, I think
Yeah.
she's going last, and I had to come here and
fair
chat
enough.
with you.
Exactly. Well, that took a turn for the worse. And but I was thinking about like everybody's different processes.
Yeah.
And how I can get sucked into this chameleon thing where I'm like, they're doing it right.
Oh,
They're-
right.
Yeah, so I should do it like they're doing it. And I've been doing it for so long, it's not broken.
Right.
So let go of other people's process.
Yes,
and
yes,
just
yes.
do it my process,
Right.
obviously.
Exactly.
But I've been recently, I had to drive myself nuts about that for a week before, or however long, until I realized that that's exactly what I was doing.
Well, like when I think about when I was working on my special, and I set a date that I was going to tape it, and then now I didn't see my child. I was out every single night.
Right.
You know, I'm like, all right, he's going to have to take a hit. 'Cause
Yeah.
I'm doing something.
Yeah.
And I worked, I would find little moments at lunch. I would go, I'm just going to work on it for 5 minutes. I would work on a joke, and whether I came up with something or not, it sort of something would crack open. Maybe
Okay.
not a new joke, but maybe just a new
Yeah.
direction to go or something, and I came up with that, I guess it was like 43 minutes total, and like maybe 4 months, and then I had the other thing, it was hung on a topic, and it was a
Right.
story, and I knew the outline of the story, and I knew the ending, which is my dad died. So
Right.
it wasn't like I'm just shooting at the okay, I parked on the wrong side of the street and I got a ticket. All right, 5 minutes, go.
Yeah.
It was okay. It's a specific story, and I knew where I wanted to go with it, and I knew how I wanted it, or it would end.
Yeah.
And so I was able to write a lot of stuff. And since then, I feel like I've been, less like oh, I'm going to take this, like, well, it's almost like you're taking a bull and slamming it to the ground. Like, all right, my dad died. Boom. I'm going to remake you into something else. This grief and this anger and the story.
Right.
And I don't have that story to wrestle now.
Now you're just
day-to-day
back to
living.
doing stand-up,
yes,
essentially.
And so
because that was
it's
a very
different,
specific, special thing.
It's a different feeling now. It's just, instead of like a giant thing I'm trying to battle, it's just like a little punches here and there that I hope are turning into a longer, different set. But it's not the same feeling as I was very driven with that for that, that year long situation.
It had the emotional gravitas of having that to hang on, but it also had purpose.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So
I don't think anything needs to have emotional gravitas for the audience, but for me to have a purpose, for me, that was really important to me. And now I'm just sort of like, as my life unfolds, however it does unfold, whether I'm never dating and I'm just taking care of these things, like, all right, that's it. Well,
is this
I'll talk about
just
that.
Plotting one day forward until the day I fall over and
I do feel like I'm being led a little bit by my life, and then I sort of, write a joke about it, and then, all right, day, what's happening today? Is there a joke in today? It doesn't feel the same as when I was writing about my dad.
Does it remind you of before you wrote about your dad? Does it seem like a comedy is so hard to think about the album before the album,
right?
I
only did one album. I mean, I just shed material.
You just got rid of it.
There's just jokes you outgrow, or you're just like, I'm done with this and I'm bored with this, and I want to be like. There's some jokes I don't think I'd be able to pull off now or do now because I can't. Maybe they're not good enough anymore, but they were good in 1999.
They were good enough.
Yeah, they were good in 1999, but now they're like not as good.
Right.
They're not.
Whenever I listen to,
they're dated.
They're dated, or if I were to do them again, like some of them, like I have old stories that I wouldn't mind. I would mind. I don't want to have anything to do with those old stories.
Yeah.
But if I had to, I would want to revamp them if I were had to if I needed the material.
It was weird. Like in the early 90s, I was I talked about being raised Catholic, and now I'm not like that, and it felt very daring for me, and now who fucking gives a shit? Yeah,
right.
Like,
well, that's
raised Catholic. Who fucking cares?
Because you processed
it decades ago, and the church is irrelevant, and it
right,
doesn't matter.
No, but I think it is weird. But that's what for me, stand up itself processes the things that I think are shocking.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Like for a while, I wrote all this stuff about how my dad was a jackass, and I wrote all this stuff in the process of writing those jokes. Mm-hmm. I found the things that I liked about my dad.
Yeah.
And because they started out super harsh, it was just like, these are the horrible things that he did.
Yeah.
He's not good at this, and this.
Yeah.
And then at the end of it, you're like, no, he's not very good at those things. But here was the funny story that came out of it. Or this is how I dealt with it. Or this is, and quite honestly, it healed a big portion of my relationship with him.
Wow.
Because I couldn't even talk to him much. Because I was like, you're such a piece of work. I don't even know what we have in common.
Wow.
And now I know that there are things I don't want in common with him, but that doesn't mean that we can't talk.
Yeah.
And I can't sort of celebrate the things that he loves.
Yeah.
And the things he loves are not things that I love. But by God, there's an article in Bloomberg this week of some guy made an algorithm to bet on the horses and won $1 billion.
I saw that headline. I didn't read the article, though.
I did. I skimmed it because it was one of those New Yorker kind of 17-page.
Yeah.
And I was
Oh,
like,
God.
why isn't Bloomberg a magazine? Because my father would love this article, but I'm going to have to print it and then mail it to him.
No.
What a weird experience that sounds like. But
Yeah.
he doesn't have a computer. He's
Wow.
never had a computer.
Wow.
And he once said out loud to me about my phone, "Hey, do you have the internet on there?" Do I have the internet on there? Is that where you keep the internet? It was something so ridiculous. It was like not last year, but the year before's Kentucky Derby. He was like, "Can you figure out who won?" Because I put some bets down. I don't know who won, and I don't want to turn the TV on. I was like, "Okay, let's do it." And so, but it was kind of fascinating. But yeah, the whole. But so I don't. So what we were talking about though is because now that stuff doesn't matter to me. You know,
Yeah.
I can't think of a time. I mean, I know abstractly, like you know about Catholicism, that I was really mad at my dad.
Yeah.
And now I'm not mad at him.
You can't summon the energy to tell certain jokes. Like
No.
some jokes require a certain anger, and then you get over that anger, and you're like, "Oh, that thing! I don't want to tell that joke again. I can't pretend to be mad about that shit anymore."
Right, I would really need to fill an hour. If I would have to get super lost.
Speaking of filling an hour, we good?
Are we at an hour?
We are. I thought you would like to set it up, Jason.
Well, you know, it's I did, of course. Goodbye.
She's
Goodbye.
a pro, folks. Bye.
Now leaving Nerdist.com.